In 2011, Gundam Extreme Versus was released for the PS3, and with its promise of competitive online play for the first time, interest in the West hit an all-time high. For newcomers interested in learning the game, we all gave them the same advice. The first thing you should learn to do is boost hop. It's easy to do and a dominant movement option even at high level. Extreme vs. Full Boost came out 3 years later, and again the mantra was, learn to boost hop. But the Gundam vs. English open beta happened last week, and I found myself saying, learn to boost hop for now. Meanwhile, the most common piece of advice I've been giving to intermediate players has been, jump less. Sometimes I just ask, do you know about boost step dive? Boost step dive is performed by doing a boost dash, sidestepping, then immediately boost diving. When performed in quick succession, it allows you to move around without jumping while staying extremely safe. Extremely safe is the key word here. In previous versions, players also avoided jumping, but there's always the risk of getting tagged by stray shots, so this was only something you did once you had a strong grasp of the game. In Gundam Versus, the step dive makes it so it's virtually impossible to punish with a beam rifle unless you're very close. This means you generally can move around without having to worry about being hit and can still stay in a good position in most situations. It's a bit busier on the hands than boost hopping, but boost step dive is still a simple option that I think even beginners should learn. It lets you land much more often than if you were using boost hop, which has tons of advantages. This means you're refilling your boost more often and able to play at a faster pace. The increased pace also means you're able to respond to developing situations much faster, giving you much more impact on the overall match. I still think it's a good idea for new players to start with the boost hop. It lets you take your time while you're still figuring everything out, but at some point you have to break the habit. A big part of why boost hop was strong was because it lets you attack while being evasive. Against opponents who abuse boost step dive, however, you'll find that such attacks will rarely hit. In Gundam Versus, there are a lot of situations where boost hops simply are a dead end. When playing against players who abuse boost step dive, you're prone to getting caught in the air, and as mentioned earlier, they're also landing twice as often, implementing their game plan much faster. In other words, not only is boost hop generally worse than boost step dive, but you're putting yourself at a disadvantage against opponents who do use it. There's still a lot of places where using boost hop is important though. It's definitely one of the best options when you want to run away, especially when being double locked. And there are still many situations where being above the opponent can be advantageous. Even in ideal situations, boost step dive isn't completely foolproof. The biggest disadvantage is that it's difficult to defend yourself from multiple angles simultaneously. When double locked, it can be pretty difficult to choose which direction to step to. Even in 1v1 situations, since you're only moving laterally, you're more susceptible to wide beams and moves that don't need guidance to land. While I've constantly brought up how hard it is to punish, if you're close enough, it's easily punishable. In melee range, while it still can be used, it's definitely risky and shouldn't be done without a plan. Boost step dive makes your overall movement much busier. If you're using pad and using a layout that has boost dive bound to the right analog stick, this can honestly be quite difficult to do smoothly. Playing suits where you need to constantly hold down buttons like Char can make the sequence a hassle to constantly perform. Lastly, since you land so quickly, it's much harder to use machine guns or other weapon types that must remain active, like Turn A or Wing TV's main. Up until this point, the general rule of thumb for beginners was, if you don't know what to do, just boost hop. But in Gundam Versus, what I recommend is the opposite. Always boost step dive unless you have a reason not to. Basically, it's the better autopilot option. Maybe this might be a bit too technical for brand new players, but the key point is that due to boost step dive, you don't have to be an experienced player in order to start playing low to the ground. It's one basic sequence that can easily improve your gameplay drastically. If you're new, give this a shot when you feel comfortable, and if you're an intermediate player or above, try it for yourself. And when teaching others, this is definitely something I'd recommend bringing up. Hope you guys enjoyed this as a bit of a teaser for future content I have planned. The next Gundam video I'll be releasing will be a full-blown tutorial series, and I'm very excited to get those out to you guys. In the meantime, share this video to other players and let me know what you think.